Hey everybody, I hope everyone's well. Starting a little bit later than I intended, but I am here and I thought that I would focus on just dealing with any questions you had regarding the Oakland Raiders' effort to relocate to Las Vegas and its possible success or failure here. And the reason is that a lot of you ask questions like, for example, Barry Lee, um, on my videos. Hey, Go Warriors, how you doing? On my videos, and a lot of them are very good questions. And so I felt I wind up doing this Q&A anyway, right? But I felt that it was a good idea to really specifically set aside a vlog, a live stream to talk about this issue. And hey, how you doing, Citron? And to answer your questions, not so much, I don't have anything directly that I want to put out here. Hey, how you doing, Johnny? I want to devote this time to address any questions you have. And with that, you would say, okay, so where are we right now? Thank you, Johnny. Appreciate that. Yeah, someone, I think, was it you, Barry Lee? I think it was Barry. Someone had said that I should do one of these anyway. You know, like a Q&A, right? And thank you, Silver and Black. It's very, very nice. And by the way, you can donate via Super Chat, which is over here, or there's a PayPal link as well. And I really appreciate the donations. But I refer to them as donations. That's a bad thing. They're investments, because every time you put in money, be it $2 or $20 or $200, it counts as a micro investment. You own a share of Zennie 62 Media. That's straight out, and it is a corporation with corporate documents. I own 70% of it, and you would own a percentage that is equal to whatever it is you invest with respect to the total value of the firm as it stands right now. And so we have a non-dilution clause, so the people, Nikki Rainey, who are my partners and owners, co-owners, their shares are not impacted. So it's not a donation, it's an investment. If Zennie 62 Media is acquired, each one of you who've invested, regardless of the amount, receives a compensation for your shares should they be bought out, which would happen if the whole thing was bought out, right? So, or acquired. You get the idea. So I'm letting you know that what's happening, and I'm also putting up this link for those of you who say, hey, I can't use Super Chat. And since I can't use Super Chat, as Octavio Arias said to me, if I can't, well, is there a PayPal link? And so here is the PayPal link, and I'm saying, I'm writing for Zennie. Thank you, Paul. Zennie 62 investors via PayPal, and that's here. And that's via for here, okay? So ML, I didn't get your email. Oh no, did you, ML? When did you send the email? Was that recent? Was that recently? I'll have to go out and scour for it. And so, thank you. And so Octavio. I just put the PayPal link there. Oh, and thank you very much, Jay, for the $5 contribution. Thank you, everybody. Thank you very much. And let me get to your questions too. Because again, and Barry Lee, I apologize. The one other reason that I'm doing this is sometimes when I respond in text, I look at what I wrote and I didn't mean the tone that may come across, and I realize, hey, I gotta do this a different way. So this is that different way. I am responding to your questions directly. Now, Johnny asks, and Paul, thank you very much, and thank you, Jay, for the $5. Johnny asks, do you think that Mark Davis will significantly profit with the Raiders in Las Vegas with the new stadium? My answer to that right now is no. And in fact, he would profit more in Oakland, and I'll be selfish and talk about my exercise as but one example, okay? I was able to carve out $2 billion for the Raiders, free and clear cash over a 40-year period. And in Vegas, the problem that's standing in the way of Mr. Davis is the enormous amount of money that has to be spent on what are called off-site infrastructure improvements. And I was reading a comment that, hello, Miss, how are you, Mr. Meep? I was reading a comment on one of the publications where somebody was not using, oh, that's fine, yeah, yeah, and so, oh, Mr. Christopher, thank you very much for your contribution by PayPal. I got that. Thank you very much. Thank you, and thank you so much. And by the way, everyone who invests will receive an email update of their shares, or if they haven't received one before, a report of their share ownership. So I'm very serious about this micro angel investment approach, and I really am. Thank you so very much. Oh, Octavio, God bless you. Thank you. Now, let me get to your question about Mr. Davis and profits. No. And again, someone on, I believe it was in Las Vegas Sun publication, and I have to credit Adam Candy out of jealousy. He's done a great job from his perspective of covering the issue, and I feel like I'm sort of in a race against the guy who lives in Vegas, right? I guess he lives in Vegas. But as far as your question regarding Davis and profitability, no. Someone wrote on there that the Nevada Department of Transportation was going to pay for all the off-site infrastructure improvements. Folks, that is absolutely, categorically, 1,000% wrong. Okay? It is wrong. Anyone who tells you that, this is what you should do. Give a big, hearty guffaw laugh. And the reason is that, and the reason is this, that, UNLV is not yet on board with the stadium. That's a good question, Mr. Lloyd. I'll get to that in a second. And, oh, Mr. Mills, hey, Jamal, regarding your 4 shares report, I need your email. So go to Zennie62, Z-E-N-N-I-E, at ZENNIE62 and say in the subject heading, this is Jamal Mills, so I can send you your shares report, because I have it laid out, but, you know, I thought, hey, I don't have the right email for him, okay? So please, I'm glad you brought that up. I need that info. And here's my email, by the way, okay? Zennie62.com. There you go, okay? Now, getting back to the matter of the question of profitability that was asked. First of all, and the comment that was written on the Las Vegas Sun website, that person, and I'm not going to use that person's name, real or whatever, was wrong. Again, NDOT is not paying for it. In fact, what I direct you to read, if you do a search in Google, I can put up the link to it. In fact, I'll put up the link to it for you, okay? And this will help you. You really have to read this link. This is the from the Nevada Department of Transportation, and it's the what it is that it was released actually in October 10th of last year, okay? But it never saw the public eye until I believe it was the 14th of October, right smack in the middle of the right smack in the middle, excuse me, of the Nevada legislature's deliberations regarding the proposed stadium for the Raiders, among the other recommendations that were passed down, or over, I should say, by the Southern Nevada Tourism and Infrastructure Committee, okay? So they were in the middle of them, and it would look like, oh, this thing's going to pass, and all of a sudden, this I'm writing NDOT study, right? NDOT study, okay? NDOT study. And it looked like, oh, boom, this thing was going to pass. Oh, prayers for Ruben? Thank you, by the way. in Cons, we're going to have a lawsuit update tomorrow. On tomorrow's show, we'll have Grizz back, and we're going to talk about that tomorrow. Appreciate that info, by the way. And Ruben, Ruben, thank you. Right. Hey, Ruben, welcome again. Anyway, let me get back to John, answering Johnny's question here. The report that I just provided a link to, that's the NDOT study. It has a list of a number of improvements that are needed for the stadium. In fact, I'm going to walk you down through what they are, or show via a picture, so you can get an idea right here of what I'm talking about. Okay, it's very important that you see this document, what I'm talking about, what I'm referring to, so that you understand the gravity, the enormous gravity of work that needs to be done with respect to this NFL stadium. So I'm gonna, bear with me here, I'm gonna take a ride, and there it is. Okay, it's Las Vegas NFL Stadium Sites Traffic Assessment. I'm not gonna go through this in its entirety, but I want to show you, because a lot of people have been put through the given incorrect road information. Okay, this is the Russell Road site. At the time, it looked at both of them. Okay, 2 preferred stadium sites, as it says. Okay, so, and here they are. Right now, we know this is the site, right? Okay, so let me take you down through here real quick. There is a summary, and it said projects that may be considered for acceleration. In other words, moved up in time. Addition of HOV interchanges at I-15 Harmon Avenue Hacienda, I-15 and 215 operational improvements, monorail extension to Mandalay Bay. All projects are identified from existing plans and programs with some project elements already underway, right? And then it says next steps. It talked about the traffic impact and needs announcement, parking needs analysis, traffic management plan, plan for transit expansion during special events. All right. And then it continues. And just when you think that, okay, this isn't so bad, when you start scrolling through it, you realize that it gets really worse. All right. It talks about the different sites that are proposed and focuses on these 2. Okay. And then it gives you the stadium-related traffic assessment, the trip generation and modal choice, traffic assessment with the baseline scenarios, the study segments, and it talks about the different interchanges around the different properties, and it gives you the determination of traffic effects, all right? And it keeps going, and so what we're looking for is here. All the way down, I'm going to move through this because it's quite an extensive study. It's very extensive, all right? Very extensive study. Here we go, all right? It says, here it is. You've got, okay, you've got Harmon Avenue, HOV direct access ramp, Hacienda HOV. You've got, this is HOV as well, expressways, high-speed rail. We have Vegas Boulevard Monument, all right? And HOV ramp and everything else. This is the Bus Diamond HOV. This is a HOV ramp and airport direct access HOV ramps here, okay, in this area right here, all right? And here, the Blue Diamond HOV direct access ramp, all right? So it goes down, and it has other, this is really worth reading, and I'm skimming through this admittedly, but it's important that you are aware of it, okay? It really is. So, and as well as at the end of it, discussing the process, and then it breaks down costs. I want you to look at this. Project development process. Look at this. I-5 North Design Build, that's $250 million there, okay? That's 247 for I-15 South Design Build there, 247 million. So already we're at about 500 million. I-15 Project Neon, that's almost 600 million right there. So that's, wow. All right. Then you've got 58 to 83 million here, okay? So these are freeway projects that generally call for a combination of funds, some from the federal government, other sources. And however, get this, and I'm not done here. These are the recommendations and next steps. These are talking about the NDOT accomplishments and what has been in leveraging other improvements. And it says that there is more than 1.2 billion in planned program improvements in the affected study area of the two potential stadium sites, nearly 25 million, 845 million RTP, and the 370 million proposed under FRI 2. And it says the main thrust of this section is to set aside recommendations for improvement projects that will need to be accelerated to be delivered before shortly after the stadium's 2019 opening year. All right. And it says and those improvements basically says those improvements are needed. Okay. And it gives recommendations for advancing the projects. Now note, it lays out the costs, but it doesn't say that they're paid for. Okay. And that's where people make the mistake when they read this. It lays out the costs, but it doesn't say that they will be paid for. All right. And so at the end of this, there was trip generation, and then there was another appendix. There's a baseline traffic analysis, which is here. All right. Which is quite extensive. And inventory of planned and program projects, which is here. Okay. And that had status and then costs. And if you go through these costs and start listing them, okay, those costs as listed add up to about almost $1 billion. $1 billion. Now, it never stated at all that they were paid for. How can you say that something's already paid for when you're planning to do it in the future and you don't quite know where the money is going to come from? Anyone saying that those projects are already paid for has no idea what they're talking about. And then there's this. The Southern Nevada Tourism and Infrastructure Improvements Act calls for the stadium developer to pay, quote, an adequate, unquote, amount of that total cost. It says it right there in black and white. Section 29, I believe it's subdivision H of the SNTIA. Worth reading. So again, anyone who tells you that, anyone at all who steps forward and tells you that those projects are already paid for, they have no idea what they're talking about, and they also have not read the SNTIA, which calls for the raters to pay for some portion of it. And that is why when the parking transportation study came forward, which called for both the Raiders and the University of Nevada, and the Las Vegas Stadium Authority to find adjacent land, the Raiders rolled that into their negotiation with UNLV and said, oh, we'll just use your campus, which is like over 3 miles away from the stadium site, right? But it's saving them money, all right, so there's the answer. And it means that if the Raiders took on the cost that I'm telling you about, there goes your profit, all right? There goes your profit. So you see, Johnny, that's what I'm talking about. So so basically, it's, I'm okay here. Paul, hey, Paul says, I believe Al Davis really understood the fans in the Bay Area were loyal with heart and soul to the team, and Mark Davis doesn't understand that part of Oakland. I don't think he appreciates it as much as he should, and there's some other aspects going on to why he got in that deal. And Ruben Ortiz says, I believe, okay, I got that one out of the way. Let's see here. And I am going back to see if I've gotten your all of your questions out of the way. And Ruben, great to see you. Thank Octavio. We'll talk about the lawsuit tomorrow night with Grizz. Grizz is going to be on the show. He's got some special news and special things. It's like I say, things planned. So you have to tune in. Special things planned. Okay, things. Now, that Johnny, I hope that answers your question there. And in that, so the bottom line is no. And Paul, I think you're absolutely right about that. Johnny says, oh, you're welcome, Johnny. Thank you. And Barry Lee says, can you use any request through Freedom of Information Act to the state of Virginia to find out who is the lenders of the deal? Well, we know, Barry. We know that. Oh, I see what you're getting at. Yeah, I can. I can do that, and I will. That's a great idea, Barry. Johnny says, I hope that the city of Oakland and San Diego join St. Louis in the lawsuit against the NFL. And 831 Scott, hey, 831 Scott, how you doing? 831 Scott says, it would be a joke if Las Vegas gets a Super Bowl and has the parking 3 miles away. How is it that even going to work? How is that even going to work? I know I wouldn't want to walk 3 miles in 115-degree heat. So much for tailgating. You can forget preseason because we're all late into July, right? And we start talking about preseason games toward late July. And so, and then August, and you know the heat's not going to go down in Las Vegas. So can you imagine people? It's not inside. And I have questions about that too, but can you imagine people actually schlepping their way to see a preseason game against a team that maybe they don't care that much about? Let's say that the Raiders happen to be playing one of those games against, maybe it's the Jaguars or something like that. How many people are going to go to that game in the weather, you know? Wow. It's I have to ask if they do this at all. Here's why I say it like that. Because I'm concerned now, and I'd like to get more input on this. I'm concerned very much about the design of the stadium and that fabric with respect to the air conditioning system in that heat. That is going to be the hottest hot box outside of Arizona. Hotter. The hottest hot box of any stadium in the NFL. It's going to need an air conditioning system like no other to make sure that's heated as that material around it is bombarded by sun. That is, and you have to remember something, there's no other comparable structure in Las Vegas to deal with that right now of that size, okay? So that's, and then how are you going to do that and then have this window that opens up? Because if you open it up, you're going to do what? You're going to let in all of the hot air, right? So I'm thinking about all this, and I'm what's going through my mind is, have they really modeled out how that stadium is going to behave in those hot, extreme hot weather conditions? Just wondering. Octavio says, Raiders should stay in Oakland for the loyal fans, but Davis wanted to create, but the Davis, they have the loyalty only to the Raiders, as A's wanted to create the greatest sports organization with no hesitation. Where? 831 Scott says, good night, go Warriors. Oh, good night, go Warriors. Okay, I'll see you. I'll see you, good night, yeah. And Ruben Ortiz says, the NFL doesn't want the fans to tailgate and buy a 30-pack for $25. They want you to buy one beer for $10 in their stadiums. If you can get there, Ruben. Bleak Gaming says, okay. Corey Brown says, well, honestly, it's hotter by a few degrees in Phoenix and nobody has died at a Cards game yet. And see, here's the thing, Corey. I'm glad you mentioned that. Because I've been to the Cards games, but my point is that they have a top retractable roof. You know, heat rises and can escape, right? But in the Raiders' case, there's no top retractable roof. So my point is that you can have the air conditioning going and then have the air ventilate up and out in that case. But in the Raiders' case, what happens to the air as it goes up and out? mean, the logical answer is you have to have some sort of ventilation system to get it out of there. How much does that cost? How effective is it going to be? And you have to remember that in Phoenix, we've had 2 dome stadiums. We have the Glendale Stadium. We have what used to be called Bank One, and Bank One had this slider, right? So you could open up, and you could actually shield one side of the playing field where the people sat from the field itself for baseball, which effectively, allowed for a pretty cool, double entendre, pretty cool situation with respect to weather and fans. But, all right, so now, let's see here. And, and Barry Lee says, and think about how the fun we tailgating with the sandstorms. The sandstorms I've experienced at Glendale coming out of the Super Bowl in 2008, and I remember I was walking with MC Hammer, and both of us were bombarded. I have these contact lenses with these sand getting in our eyes through the parking lot. It was awful. I mean, all of this has to be thought of in terms of the kind of game day experience the fan is going to get versus what the game day experience will be at the Oakland Coliseum. The game day experience at the Oakland Coliseum is awesome. It's nirvana. Now, if you don't want to go right out to BART, immediately you can hang out in the clubs and the BART line kind of diminishes a bit, right? And then you can go and get on BART, or you can go and hang out and tailgate with other people and then wait. And then after you finish tailgating and hanging out with them, you can go up to BART. Then I've done that tons of times. You don't have the complications in Oakland that Vegas presents at all. So none at all. And so I would Corey let's see here. We've got, and Johnny says, wasn't there an issue at Levi Stadium where someone was hospitalized? Yes, someone was hospitalized because the stadium location far away from the water and there's no roof there. Yeah, Johnny, they died. That person died in the bleachers. It was Peyton Manning's first game as a Denver Bronco, was preseason, and that person sat in the sun-exposed area of Levi Stadium over here, okay? And folks, I have sat in a similar situation. You don't want to do that. You will take your life into your hands. That person sat there and died. That's precisely what happened. Tragic story. And on top of that, the 49ers were blown out by the Denver Broncos' first opening game of any game in that new Levi Stadium. Yeah, that happened. So that happened. And a very sad story. So 831 Scott says, how about some delicious sand in your grilled burger or hot dog? Yummy. John Mark says, laugh out loud. 831 Scott. Coog Sniper says, if you don't go into the game, you can always go to Mob Alley and we'll have satellite TV, canopies, barbecue, and more setup. There you go. Barry Lee says, and those sandstorms will probably wreak havoc with the stadium's AC units. Yes. And, I know that someone's going to say, okay, well, in Phoenix, they have a similar situation. It has to be investigated. And we can't assume that because someone is doing something, they've thought of everything. It's okay to ask questions. That's part of the process. You're supposed to be able to ask questions if they're on their J, as they say on the street. They have no problem, they being the stadium developers, taking those questions, and if they don't have an answer, say, hey, you know what, we need to fix this. That's good listening. So, Johnny says, I live in New York City and we have MetLife Stadium with no roof, but we're in a much colder climate. Hey, Johnny, what's MetLife like during the winter, not winter, but during the preseason, during the summer? Because I had a ticket for the Super Bowl in New York at MetLife, but I turned it over to some friends of mine there and watched the Super Bowl here with my mom, flew back. So, hey, Donis, how are you? Great to see you. And John Mark says, Vegas is a bad deal. And, it is. It just is not adding up. And then let's take that whole issue. Oh, by the way, folks, alert, alert, alert. Las Vegas Stadium Authority meeting this Thursday, July 13th. Just letting everybody know, this Thursday, July 13th, Las Vegas Stadium Authority meeting. Yes, and definitely. And so we've got, and I'm trying to see if there anybody I've missed any commentary. And Johnny gave his. Corey. Oh, I see Corey. Corey says my comment was in reference to tailgating in the heat. And I think Corey's previous comment was, and I want to make sure, and there's Henry. Hey, Henry Flores, how are you? Corey says, well, honestly, it's hot about a few degrees in Phoenix and nobody has died at the Cardinals game yet. Oh, I see in terms of tailgating in the heat. Point taken. However, you don't want, just because no one's died, you don't want to say, well, gee, you know, we know it's hot, but you can take it, right? That's not the message you want to send to your fans. You're not putting your fans in solitary confinement. You're supposed to give your fans an optimum game day experience. That's what you want. Not to say, oh, well, we know it's hot, but, oh, you know, it's hot in Phoenix, too. Oh, yeah. I mean, that's like something you would hear either Will Ferrell or John C. Reilly say in Step Brothers. You ever see the movie Step Brothers? Hilarious movie. That's something that they would say. Well, you know, oh, it might be too hot in Las Vegas, but it's certainly hot in Phoenix, and I can take it. I can take it. That's the kind of thing they'd say. Come on. You don't want to tell your fans that. You don't. All right? So, you just don't. So, you've got, Donna says, exciting news is coming to a Pike. Crawford says, hey, Crawford 371, how are you? Crawford says, difference with Phoenix and Vegas is that Phoenix is larger TV market and the lots is next to the stadium. Thank you. Yes, absolutely, as opposed to that 4-mile hike. And I've done a variation of a hike. There is a mixed-use development not far from the stadium. I've walked that. But when there's a sandstorm and you're walking through that, and that's not 3 or 4 miles, but it's still hard on the eyes. And that's why I was talking about the situation that MC Hammer and I got involved in coming out of the stadium after the New York Giants beat the New England Patriots in that epic comeback game. So, now, Coach Singer says, we will be, yes, Coog Sniper says, we'll be at a special location tomorrow. Tune in. I can't wait. Woohoo! I can't wait. Corvette says, in Vegas, you can cook your food on the cement, no barbecue needed. John Marks reminded, said, Las Vegas is a dry heat. And Dorian, welcome. How are you? He says, cold beer will help. A lot of cold beer. Dorian, you mean ice cold beer put on your head in a way that cools your head with a straw that comes down to your mouth like this, okay? And sip. And with a version for the kids because you don't want them drinking alcohol, but has, you know, Hawaiian punch in it. Actually, you know what? I would rather have Hawaiian punch than the beer myself. Having a Hawaiian punch in it, coming down where you can have the Hawaiian punch, but it keeps the head cool, right? That's what you need. So, 831 Scott says, I'm an Oakland Raider fan, but Carson would have made more sense than Las Vegas. It would have. The NFL is making some really dumb decisions, says 831 Scott. Barry Lee says, 831 Scott, if there had not been 3 teams in that market. Yeah. John Mark says, market that, Zennie. That's a great idea. I will. Although, I seem to think that I've actually saw something like that before. And it didn't come to me like, you know, out of the thin air. Just want to be honest. Jay Smith says, hey, man, I haven't on this account for a while. Well, welcome back. Donis says, stay tuned. Ruben Ortiz says, you know what else is a dry heat? An oven. This is Ruben Ortiz. An oven. Heat and walking is not a good business decision for the best game day experience for the fans. Thank you, Ruben Ortiz. Corey Brown says, one thing nobody is talking about is trying to leave the game on crowded shuttles, waiting in line for available shuttles, close airport traffic. Right. And that's exactly the point. In fact, I'm glad you made that comment, because there's something else I want to show you regarding that whole, you know, airport traffic thing. Trying to find, I had something around here I was going to dig up and show you. And bear with me. I'm gonna turn the fan on back here. Speaking of heat, because in Georgia here, particularly around Atlanta, it's been 90 degrees plus of lately. Okay, but hold on a second. I want to show you something while I'm doing this. Okay, and turning that on. Sorry, I need that. Okay, and hold on a second. This is something that you need to see with respect to the whole airport situation. Okay, I really want you to have a look at this this matter. Hold on a second. Talking about the airport, and I'll get back to your question. This is NDOT. I'm gonna go right back to that NDOT study. Okay, and I'm gonna scroll up a lot bit, okay, so that you can see the situation I'm talking about. Let me see if I can grab hold. What I'm looking for is this. There it is. That's what I'm looking for. So I'm trying to grab that doohickey there, all right? And then I'm trying to move it up like that. Okay, see that? And move there. Okay, here. All right. That's McLaren International Airport. This is Russell Road. UNLV is, okay, UNLV is over here. Okay, so basically the throughways from UNLV to Russell Road compete with traffic from the Strip, okay, to get to the airport. The airport main entrance is down here, not up here. It's here. You have to come around here over there. Okay, so that is the problem that we see. You understand? And it's not pretty, to say the least. Now let me see what I missed here. And yeah, okay, Corey Brown, that's your point. I hope that satisfies your observation, Mr. Brown. And 831 Scott says, I know, Barry, I'm just saying Vegas is a joke. John Marks says Vegas is a joke. Jade Smith says, Ruben Ortiz, did you get the line from the odd one out? Crawford says, they can still get out of this and realize Oakland is the better solution. And note, the Raiders have not signed a non-relocation agreement. Keep that in mind. Or, excuse me, the non-relocation agreement. Keep that in mind. Now, I have to say in all honesty, if the Raiders sign that non-relocation agreement, that is a big step toward them being the Las Vegas Raiders. And we really would need a successful court battle to prevail. Not that can't be done, but I'm saying that until that non-relocation agreement is signed, the Raiders should still arguably be called the Oakland Raiders, and no one should call them Las Vegas Raiders because they have not signed on the dotted line their intent to stay there and not move. Okay? You know what I'm saying? So, the Oakland Raiders are the Oakland Raiders. I don't care what their plans are. I don't care about the NFL vote. The Oakland Raiders are the Oakland Raiders. Period. And, you know, they should be the Oakland Raiders forever, I say. Now, John Marks says, Seattle's Safeco Field was a reminder of the Oakland Coliseum's pre-Mount Davis look on Friday's A's-Mariners game. Wasn't that something? Johnny Jernigan says, Atlanta has a beautiful new stadium that's almost nearing completion. Yeah, my mom's in ATL outside the perimeter, and I agree with you. Folks, the Mercedes-Benz Stadium will be regarded by many as the best football stadium, period, when it's done. I'm just telling you, Mr. Blank, Arthur Blank, the owner of the Atlanta Falcons, of whom I have a great deal of respect for, and his wife, who's just so very nice, went out of the way to create a first-class facility. And they deserve all the accolades they get. Now, Donis says, why you have to park 3 miles from the stadium? Donis, that's because the Raiders are looking for the least cost solution for the parking problem, which also implies that they don't have enough money to straighten out the parking problem as it exists. So they heaped it on UNLV. You have to remember something in all this. People seem to forget one thing. The University of Nevada, Las Vegas is not some rich private organization school. We're not talking about Harvard here. We're talking about a public institution that uses Nevada public money. And so the Raiders are basically trying to do as much as they can to heap these costs on this university. And then someone points out, well, they're getting the stadium for free. Let me tell you something. Before Mr. Davis came along at the behest of Cheryl Nadelson and Napoleon Kaufman, the stadium that was being discussed at prior to the SNTIC was always for UNLV, and that is why the documents, the Southern Nevada Tourism and Improvement Act documents, thank you for the donation, Act documents, have it so that UNLV would essentially take over the stadium if the Raiders drop out. Remember, April is, I think someone put up the other day, April 18th is the drop dead date. And UNLV could stall them out. And it looks like the Raiders are kind of helping them along the way. I can't see UNLV going along with what's being proposed. So so there you go, Donis. And Barry Lee says, and thank you, Mr. Smith, for the $1 donation. Much appreciated. We'll send you an email, by the way. Oh, by the way, I need your email. My email, Mr. Smith, is Zennie at Zennie62.com. I need you to email me back so I can send your email of your shares, okay? So Johnny says Mercedes-Benz Stadium will be nicer than Kroenke's New Inglewood Stadium. Yeah, well, yeah. And I'm going to tell you why. Because, well, when I say nicer, I'm not saying Kroenke's isn't nice as a person whose background is in urban planning and who's taken drafting courses and architecture courses in high school and junior high school, all right? I've always been a fan of earth-sheltered design. So it's beautiful on the outside, but the way Mercedes-Benz is set up on the inside, wow, that is just incredible. I mean, it's just incredible what with the pedal roof and that surround and everything. And you have to remember something. We're talking about a stadium that's nearing completion and versus one that really hasn't started getting built yet. They broke ground, sure, but it's not really, nothing's been done where you can get an idea what it's really going to look like. So yeah, I'll say that. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And John Marks said, Jamal Mills, I'll get to that in a second. I'm going up and getting these questions. And Barry Lee says, if legal action is taken against the Raider move to Vegas, then I believe a lot of the owners will pull the plug in the case if filed has merit and legal standing, and the NFL owners would know it. Octavio Harris says, I'll stay at the Mandalay. Mandalay is a nice hotel. I like the Mandalay. Remember, this is not an anti-Las Vegas situation for me. I love Las Vegas. I just don't like the idea of the Raiders in it. Jamal Mills says, hey, what does that mean with them not signing? And let me clarify, not just the Raiders, but until there's a clear plan that's budgeted at $4.7 billion for appropriate stadium and infrastructure changes, no NFL or team is really well suited to be there, because right now it's hilarious to watch them. Thank you, Jay. It's hilarious to watch them run around and, stamp out these problems with these solutions and realize, we're going to have to pay money here that we didn't think about. This, right? And that's what you run into. This isn't unique to the Raiders situation. So Jamal Mills, what does it mean what they're not signing is that the Raiders, I'm going to speculate on why the Raiders are dragging their feet on this. Because they know what I know, that once they sign it, they're stuck, okay? And they need to make sure that everything, every I is dotted and every T is crossed, everything is, and every deal works in some way in their favor before they sign that non-relocation agreement. Because once they sign it, it's like getting on a brand new airplane that's unproven in terms of its airframe, and then but you know you're on it, and that door closes. Boom! And once that giant door, this giant jumbo jet closes, hey, you're stuck on the flight. You can't get off. Things head down the runway, it's going to take off. That's why. So and Barry Lee asked, Zennie, would we ever be able to find out when the non-relocation agreement is signed? We will all know. I'm afraid they would try to keep it under the radar. No, that's something that everybody will be very much made well aware of, because the people in Vegas will be popping corks if that happens. Trust me. John Mark says, Mark Davis needs to take a page out of Arthur Blank's stadium plan at Oakland. For Oakland, yes. 831 Scott says, I'm friends with Tim James. He was a linebacker drafted by the New York Jets. He was saying he doesn't think Las Vegas will happen. He's friends with a lot of former Raider players. Johnny says, Mercedes-Benz Stadium would be nicer than Stan Kroenke's New Inglewood Stadium. And I said that. And Jade, again, thank you for that. And donation of $1 and the donation of the investment of $1 and the investment of $2 as well. And Donut says, so go get a new investor. And John Mark says, we need to call UNLV's athletic director. Yes. Donut says, Mark Davis needs a new investor. Gotcha. And, and Wayne Smith. Thank you, Wayne. Thank you very much. Got it. Thank you. Hey, are you the same Wayne Smith that that does the photography? Just wondering. If you are, hey, man, good to see you. Are you going to be at San Diego Comic-Con? Just wondering. And John Marks is pissed that So Corey Brown says, can an NFL owner withdraw his vote for any reason, especially if they are starting to see this nonsense? I will check on that, okay? I will have an answer for you. Corvette says, Vegas is for partying and watch shows, not a sports town. Raiders belong in Oakland. If Vegas wants a football team, get your own team. I will say, however, that I think an NBA team in Las Vegas is quite an exciting idea. And I haven't got any more in this news regarding Mr. Jackson and his Robinson, and his plans for an arena. Not to say that it's not happening in Las Vegas, but I think it's very exciting, because you have to remember something. Look, Vegas already has arenas. You just have to get an NBA team to play in one, okay? But something like this is the scale and scope of building a almost 70,000 seat stadium. Well, 73,000 when you expand it for the Super Bowl, in an area that's never seen anything like this before. That is what I'm talking about. You can just put it up there and say, okay, I'm done. It's not that simple. So, Onion Head says, owners that non-relocation side is pretty much over. I would say it's, it's kind of like locking that door on the airplane. Octavio says that'll be the last agreement to be signed. But see, here's the thing. Here's the problem with delaying that. They can only delay that so much, because if they delay it, you know what hurts? It hurts that construction loan. Okay? So the Raiders are between a rock and a hard place. They can only delay signing that non-relocation agreement so much. And according to Mark Arnold, the attorney, the Raiders said they don't want to sign it at all. And then Mark Arnold said that in an earlier meeting of the Las Vegas Stadium Authority, and then Jeremy Aguilo, the stadium consultant, came back and said, well, they've got to sign it, okay? I thought that was a hilarious bit of two voices. The attorney saying, well, the Raiders really don't want to sign it, which is bad news, that unless you're really paying attention to it, it went right over your head, okay? And then I think the next Stadium Authority meeting, which is several weeks later, Arguello says, the consultant says, well, the Raiders are supposed to sign this agreement. That was interesting. And it gives you a window into the real difficulties behind the scenes, okay? So, sorry, I missed your comments here. And Maurice Keith says, in the Supreme Court and gaming case in New Jersey, does it allow the NFL to publicly change their stance on gambling in regards to players and events in casinos? You mean when it's decided? Because it hasn't been decided. It's supposed to go to the Supreme Court now, right? let me do this. I don't want to talk out of my you-know-what about this. I'm going to read the case and get back to you and explain to you what I think it means. And if I can get a guest to come on this show and talk more about that successfully, then we're golden, right? That'll be an objective, okay? And if you have any other ideas about that, Zennie at Zennie62.com. Thank you, Mr. Scott ML. Thank you for the $10. Thank you. Now, and by the way, if you want to go by PayPal and you can't quite get to the PayPal link, okay? Here's the PayPal link. I think last time I gave you the Michael Investigate. This is the direct PayPal link. This is the direct PayPal link right here. This is direct to PayPal, and this is PayPal right there. PayPal, boom. That's direct to PayPal, okay? So, the Palm owns a basketball team? Oh, yeah. Jade Smith says, Vegas has so many things. Yes. Maurice Keith says, and welcome, Mr. Keith. Point shaving should be a major issue with regard to basketball, I think. Yes. And Octavio says the vote wasn't just a permission, wasn't just a permission, not an order. Exactly. And Corvette, hey Corvette, how are you? Great to see you. Says there's the FAA too, and yeah, that's a huge deal. All right, that FAA issue is like the sword of Damocles hanging over the head of the Raiders, just doing this. Okay, so and Donut says, what are you saying? What to the FAA issue? I'm happy to talk about that. And Onionhead says they can dig the stadium down to comply with a height restriction on the airport. Onionhead, that's true. Well, wait a minute. Whoa, hold on a second, Onionhead. I like your thinking in terms of El Shoto design, right? But they haven't done it, okay? And so we have to ask, why have they not done it? Absent an answer we haven't received yet, let's speculate. It would have to do with, first of all, earth shelter design is by nature more expensive because you have to excavate, right? And when you excavate, the question is, what do you do with the dirt? There's not a lot of places to put that dirt, and when you put that dirt, that's an extra cost. So you're getting into a cost envelope that the Raiders don't want to deal with, okay? So that's a big thing. But I like your thinking. Jerry says, what's Mark's deal with not signing? And I'll explain that again, Jerry. I think I covered that, Jerry, but let me know if you didn't hear it, and I'll explain it again. Daniel says, Oakland Raiders. Yes, Maurice Keith says, thank you. Brian Frank, how are you doing? Holy Roller 510, welcome. Holy Roller, who asks excellent questions, I might add. Not that anyone else does not, just saying. Asks, can JPA in Oakland put a new lease for the Raiders to pay all parking fees owed and all future parking fees in advance? Holy Roller, the JPA is handling that very gingerly, and Executive Director Scott McKibben believes that they are headed toward an amicable agreement in that regard. So there's your answer. John Mark says, I think Mark knows he's messed up. Octavio says, hola Ricardo. And Crawford says, hashtag Forever Oakland. Donut says, the Raiders don't want to sign the relocation agreement. Not fee, agreement. There's no fee. Agreement. In fact, I'm glad you made that point up, okay? The non-relocation agreement has nothing to do with the relocation fee. They're not rated, okay? Just getting that out, all right? Now, Ricardo says, Fava Octavio, mind me. And he says it in a language that I don't know very well, but that's cool. Brian Frank says, tortious interference. I would smack anyone who files suit with a massive business interference suit. But here's the thing, Mr. Frank. Let's think about that, okay? I could file suit. I could file a similar tortious interference suit against Vegas for tampering with the Raiders when they are actively playing in a stadium with a bond issue that was floated on their behalf. So for the NFL and for Las Vegas to do what they did, if I were the mayor of Oakland, I would have slapped them with such an interference lawsuit faster than you could scream. Okay? So that works both ways. Just letting you know. That works both ways. They owe us $102 million, they do. Alright? the way they're screwing around with us. Now, we can't say, oh, we're going to pay for it, because it's not even clear they're really going to leave. Talking about the Raiders in Las Vegas. Still not clear. So, there you go, all right? Jay Smith, I got to go. Bye. Hey, Jay, thank you, and thank you for the contributions, and please email me so I can email you back. Welcome aboard. And welcome to the Zennie 62 Media Advisory Board. Now, see you. And so, ML Scott says, and yes, I did say that that's a new development based on the investments that have been here. ML Scott says, do the Raiders have any agreements, contracts lingering out there that are signed or not signed? You mean with respect to the current city of Oakland that could be interfered, that could be damaged by Vegas? Well, yeah. Well, it's the lease, the current lease, and also it's the bond issue, although they don't have a direct signature involvement in that, but it's why the bond issue came about in 1995 to begin with. It was for the Raiders, okay? And now the Raiders have skipped town, and they're not even finished paying for the thing? I mean, when I say they, I mean not the Raiders, but I'm talking about the city and the county. But you can make an argument the Raiders did not discourage that deal. They encouraged it, okay? You can make a powerful argument, and that argument could stick. So, now we've got, let's see, Corvette, how you doing? Octavio, do you think the Raiders owners just want a fresh start? Asks Onionhead. I think Mark is looking for what he believes is the most lucrative option for him, but having said that, the most lucrative option for him is in Vegas. There's something with Mark, and it came out in a conversation I had when I the second time I met him. I've said this before, where he said that he didn't want to deal with the past. Something's going on that's driving him into a direction like this one, because otherwise he would be focused on Oakland. So see, I can't now. You guys are speaking in. Okay, cool. Yeah, John Mark says, "Do it, Zennie." I will. On your head. Ricardo says, "Can't understand all that. You guys have this conversation going on. Okay, whatever." And Brian Frank says, "But I can't wait for the steak at SW Steakhouse." Mr. Frank, hey, look. Let me tell you one thing, okay? I'm still buying you that steak. I'm really looking forward to seeing you. And I think you were in Atlanta not too long ago, and I missed you, right? Because I've been here a while. And look, that'll be fun, man. That'll be fun. Don't worry. Your steak is coming. I got to get some more deals, some more investors. At least micro investments help. And I'm looking for more clients, okay? And I'm doing a lot of things I'll talk to you about if you ever have the opportunity to give me a buzz, not tonight, but I mean tomorrow. And I'm happy to fill you in on everything that's going on in my existence. But no, we'll get there. Don't worry, because we both have a love for steak, and there's nothing better than a good steak. So anyway, so let's see here. Octavia says the PayPal is for investments on Zennie 62 Media. Yes, it is. It is, and I'll put that again here. PayPal. Thank you for Octavio. And so, let's see here. And I think we've got, what else do we get? Yeah. Let's see here. Thank you, moderators. And let's see here. On your head, my opinion is that Davis doesn't fit in the Bay Area culture. To me, self-made, rich, young billionaire dudes running around for him to be the man. He prefers SoCal environment. Octavio says, if you're in ATL in November, come down to Miami for the game. Yes. Boss. Hey! When you coming on, man? Hey, welcome, boss. Boss is the man. Boss, your ruler. Maurice Keith. So you saying he doesn't have brain power to compete in Bay Area? Yeah, I might. Anyway, I think Mark Davis, and boss, you know this better than I do. Let's see here. Jesus, that does not. Jesus, okay, I'm going to tell you. Let's do this. I'm not going to take a chance on you there with that, so I had to block you. Sorry. You want to create another account and come back, fine, but don't do that. And because it's got nothing to do with this. All right? So, 831 Scott says, I know it's off topic. What do you think about the Warriors signing Nick Young? You know, it makes me ask one question. What algorithm produced an outcome in terms of the Warriors playing patterns that called for Nick Young? And I'm asking that question not facetiously but seriously. The Warriors are a team essentially built by math. And I mean, I say this from conversations I've had with the Lakers, you know, and they really believe in analytics more so than other teams. Somewhere their analytics led them to this decision. And so I'm going to say, given the way the Warriors' other decisions have turned out, I think this is going to be the one that's better than every single other one there is, because we know of Nick Young as being what, you know, not immature with, and then he was with Nick, the rapper from Australia, who I like, who's singing I like, whose name I can't think of right now, who's got the legs and all that stuff, and he's more known for his off-field than on-field. On-field he does okay, but he didn't really distinguish himself. But it doesn't mean he doesn't have a great shooting game. If the Warriors find the right spot for him, and it's obvious that he's willing to be that player, hey, lights out. So, Iggy Azalea, thank you, boss. Iggy Azalea, yeah, Iggy Azalea. Now, Bao says Nick Young is trash. Now, Bao says, Zennie, you never know. Soon I could be on show. Stay tuned. Yeah, I'd love to have you back. Donut says, oh, Zennie, not to digress conversation, but exciting news is coming soon. Oh, about your movie, I can't wait. And Donna, send me an email about that. And so, Crawford says, D'Angelo Russell didn't end Swaggy P career. Iggy Azalea did. I like Iggy Azalea. I laid, you know, anyway, let me, oh well. Okay, so, Marie says, Baus, I think either he grew up in a social media misfit out here in LA, or he can't connect to the money people out here. He never built anything on his own, so he's not yet that business savvy. Okay, and he's talking about now Mark Davis is Maurice. Baus says, Maurice, yeah, I know how true that is. John Mark says, okay, you're moved on us. Baus says, Mark Davis is intellectually intimidated. You know, I'm not going to touch that. I'm going to say that I think, you know, Mark Davis is a nice person who is trying to do the right thing for the organization as he sees it, but how he sees it right now is clouded, and it's clouded in a way that has to call everything he's doing into question. Okay, so, and Bao says, you're being too nice, Zennie, shaking my head. Yeah, but that's me. You know, that's the way I'm wired. Okay. So, like, I'm good cop, you're bad cop. So there you go, right? So Onion Head says, we should have the owners of Google buy the Raiders and keep Raiders. I like that idea. And Donut says, will do. Yeah, please. I really look forward to that one. Yeah, I really do. Now, it's 1:42, and I'm going to stop in about 6 minutes, just because I got on a little later than I intended to, and I wanted this to be a short hour show just to answer questions. And I think that for the most part I've gotten those done, you know, but I want everybody to come back. Although here's the thing though, you know what? Screw it. I'm not going to leave. We have 60 viewers here. And I'm not going to jump off in the middle of the fact that I've got 60 viewers. I'm going to wait until everybody's tired. So those 60 folks out there, the one thing that I want everybody to do, give a thumbs up, please, and ask any questions. Koo Sniper says, I'm out here, Zennie, see you tomorrow. Sir, I salute you. And ask any questions you have. John Mark says, Zzz, Boss Radio. Ask any questions you have, regardless of what they may be, and I'll do my best to answer them. Warning, if they're unreasonable, they'll be ignored. I won't even read them, okay? I'll just skip over them. And Holy Roller says, Zennie, you think you're going to make it to the JPA meeting this month? Yes. In fact, I definitely will be there. I definitely will be there. And Barry Lee says, Zennie, off topic, have you seen Star Trek Continues? No, I haven't. Send me an email about that. James McCutcheon, 3 thumbs. I have 57 people watching, and I want to get their questions out of the way. You want to get those big numbers? In fact, tweet them out there. Barry Lee, are you still around the next JPA meeting? Don't know yet. Bauscher Ruler says, how bad did Trump's facelift bleed when Poland... Oh, God. Anyway, Maurice Keith says, I don't think Mark is, challenged. I just think that he is used to handouts and privilege. I believe Bedane is really a driving force, and he's navigating uncharted waters. Yeah, but let's not forget who put Mark Bedane in the position of being president. That was Mr. Davis. That was Mark Davis, okay? So Mark Davis, he's crazy like a fox. He's one of those. He's crazy like a fox, okay? And so, I mean, like, every time I think of Mark Davis, I think of this story where he, I think he told Reggie McKenzie he grabbed a sheet of paper like I'm doing right now, and then he grabbed it and he said, I need, he tore it off. He goes, I need corners. So he did something like this. He says, I need corners, right? Corners of the room? No, cornerbacks. Something like that. I mean, he's got a different way of thinking. He's eccentric. Nothing wrong with that. Not the first eccentric Californian to own a team. So, by far. So, Amy Trask John Mark says, should have stayed with the Raiders. I think there was more to that story than that. And I don't know the JPA meeting date yet. In fact, you know what? If you come back tomorrow, Godfather Grizz will tell you, I think you know what? Hey, look, he's going to reveal on my live stream the date of the JPA. He told me that, okay? He's going to reveal that date tomorrow. So come back tomorrow, 8:30, and at 8:30 p.m. Pacific, 11:30 Eastern. Find out, okay? So come back tomorrow, and you sent the website. Thank you, Barry Lee, for that. And Boss, okay, and let's see. Boss says Maurice, I would say he is. Barry Lee says, see, Boss is the bad cop. I'm the good cop. Boss is like, well, no, I can't say Kirk and Shatner. Well, Kirk is Shatner. I can't say Kirk and Spock. Oh, okay, I'll be Mr. Spock. Yeah, Boss is more like Kirk. I'm more like Spock. So there you go. All right. In fact, I am Spock. So anyway, so Boss says only Mr. Davis is Al Davis. John Mark says Amy Trask should have stayed with the Raiders. Boster says Mark Dubbin doesn't. Well, I disagree with that. 831 Scott says I don't like the Nick Young sign off either, Boss. I hope he doesn't create problems in the locker room. He doesn't seem like a person that will fit in with the Warriors. But I think he's going to surprise people. I really do. I really do. James McClendon, how are you, Mr. McClendon? Says, this is your homeboy, James McClendon, not McCutcheon. Thank you. I get it. I got it. Man, this is a whirlwind. I apologize for that. And thank you for that little punch out, James. I appreciate it. Ricardo says, something I cannot pronounce. Crawford says, Mark fired. And he, Bauster says, yeah, come back tomorrow for Grizz. I would say it should be interesting. I'm looking forward to it, man. Maurice Keith says, true, but Bedane is trying to show his worth by pressing for Vegas and not telling Mark all the real pitfalls in the deal. I've heard that before. He is leveraging his ownership for Las Vegas, which is way more costly than Oakland. Maurice Keith gave me something to research. Crawford says, Draymond is going to test Swaggy in practice. Oh, yeah. Barry Lee says, Star Trek continues picked up after the original, so the Enterprise will be in their 4th year of their 5th year mission. Brian Frank says, at some point, Ballhead Golf Course will solve the parking issue. Clark County actually owned the land on its ground lease, but the reality is it will revert back to county for parking. Well, hey, Brian, if that does, then that parking issue falls in the whole AFAA issue, and, ooh, that'll be messy. So, that'll be messy. Interesting. Thanks for the information, though, Brian. You deleted that. Did you just... Hey, Brian, wait a minute. Barry Lee, why did you delete his message? He dropped something there. What did you do that for? Barry, that was wrong. Put it back, Barry. Bausharula says, okay. Now we've got, oh, sorry, phone messed up. Sorry about that. Oh, jeez Louise. What are you doing on your phone? Would you have, like, Butterfingers some popcorn, Barry? Alex, how are you? Welcome. Welcome. Oh, Barney Frank is a troll. Actually, is it Barney Frank or... Oh, Brian Frank. Okay. No. Hey, boss, Brian Frank is not a troll at all. Oh, yeah, don't do that. No, Brian Frank's a good guy. Trust me, Brian Frank's a good guy. There's nothing wrong with Brian Frank. Oh, but you say it's your phone that's a problem? Okay. You know what? Restart your phone. Okay? So, restart your phone. The Crawford 371 says, Bouse, just imagine one of the shuttle buses stalling on the way to the stadium. That would be, that'd be awful. Well, Boss, I know you disagree. Well, about, whatever. But the whole point is, okay. At any rate, we've got, yeah, shuttle buses are a joke. Oh, as far as the shuttle bus issue, it's not the shuttle bus that concerns me. It's the route the shuttle bus has to take and getting stuck in traffic, not the breakdown. And my question is, will the shuttle bus be treated as a high occupancy vehicle? Will it have a special way to get from UNLV down to the Raiders? And if that's the case, then the answer is, if someone says yes, then you know what? You know what that ding? You know what that is? Ding! You know what that is? That's the sound of almost $300 million being rung up to pay for that high occupancy vehicle lane, which was just put into top priority need because of the Raiders' decision, if UNLV goes along with it, to use their campus for parking. Okay? You see how this is like the shell game? So you move it here, this cost comes up, you move it over there, the cost changes a bit, you move it here, cost changes a bit, right? See that? That's what the Raiders are discovering. This is not simple. So, at all. Yeah, Bouse gets it. Bouse gets it. Now, and Jimmy says, do you think Raiders will be a playoff team? Yes. Jerry asks, will they change people for the use of the shuttle bus to the games? I don't understand that question, Jerry. Let me take a stack at it. Mr. McClendon that says this Ridley business is very shaky. Yes. Bausharula says, revert back to town hall meeting October 2015. Boss slam Mark. I have that, folks. I have that. And in fact, for those of you who want to see it, let me get the Mark Davis. Let me get the link here so I can post it so you guys can have a look at something that says Bouse Classic. I'm not going to play it in its entirety here, but I will post it so that you can see it for your. Well, wait a minute. Why not? Why not? No. I'm going to do it another time, mainly because, it's something you should see. Oh, heck, you know what? I'm going to do it. This is Bouse Man. This is classic Bouse Man, all right? I gotta put this on freeze. Holy Roller was there, so was I. Or excuse me, as Goldfinger would say, so was I. So, I gotta put this on freeze. And by the way, thank you for the investments, folks. That means a lot to me at this period of time. You have no idea. Thank you very, very much. So, okay, here, putting this here. And there, I'm putting this on, turning that on. And then putting this on full screen. It's on full screen. Bringing you over here, and then I'm switching over here. Okay, folks, this is from the November 2015 Town Hall meeting. This is Bouse Man blasting Mr. Davis regarding this is the Carson issue, okay? Here we go. Oops, excuse me.
4 different cities at people's throat, right at each other's throats, constantly, whether it's radio, social media, or in person. It's like we are pawns in your little game of even chess. You know, Mr. Rubin, after Tuesday night's town hall meeting, you said you don't do dog and pony shows. I find that hard to believe because this is the 3rd night in a row a dog and pony show is here live on stage for the world to see. Sometimes outright low-grade rants from the people this week will hold no sway over the decision by the 32 owners. Even you have said that. So I don't understand what the point is. But the reason why I think you guys are insulting our intelligence, because in this very fall, I had a long post from December of 2014 from somebody who says he works for Parky Sports in Denver that lays out the whole 2015 NFL to LA scenario. And you know what? I can show it to anybody right now. So I showed it to sports writers, I can show it to Sam Farmer. It is not missequenced. So who are you guys? Who the hell are you guys fooling right now? Us or yourselves? You know, I mean, it's just ridiculous. I mean, you say you don't know. This seems like a BS charade. And you know what? Roger Goodell, that coward, should be here right now facing heat. Not saying his laptop is up here. It's not your fault. You guys are just doing your thing. And brother, you said I can be hard and be honest up here, so you know, I'm just taking you up on your advice. If he was to step down right now, you would see a Super Bowl-like celebration in all 30 markets of the NFL right now. I even find it helpful that you guys have an attorney up here. Well, you guys like to go back and study because in court, all you guys take losses. You guys like the 76 Buccaneers and the 2008 Lions all around. And just going back to you, because I'm not done with you by a long shot. I don't know how, in God's name, because you're a piece of work sometimes, though, well, in your position, you have to be. How you can say the Raider brand is good in any other market and survive any place else? Sorry, been there, done that. They went to someplace else, came back, messed up, fractured everything, and they're still not the same team when they left after the 1981 season. I mean, you came here a couple months ago being, I don't know, callous, if you will, to my good friend Floyd Kephart and some of the elected officials here. And you always talk about an actionable plan, a viable plan. That sounds like extortion to me, if I want to be honest with you. I mean, that's what you iterated every time you talk about Oakland. I mean, Dan Modell was kind of right about you guys. Sometimes you guys are gangsters in suits, and it's despicable. Even going back to the inception of the NFL, you guys got a lot of blood on your boots. You guys have the nerve to ask for public funds after you have players playing knockout kings with women treated like it's the WWE wrestling match. You guys have a lot of Are you guys heading to the Will Smith movie about concussions? I know I am. And now to Mark Davis, I was really going to come here and blast you. People know that I'm very upset with you. I'm downright disgusted because I've met you before. Twice during the draft of 2014 and last year during that. I'm so disappointed with your dad being buried just a few spaces over from here, choosing to be buried in Oakland, that you can think it's cool to even leave this place. That you're not trying to split the fan base. Sorry you failed. It's fractured. Northern California and Southern California, and I'm part of it too. We are definitely beefing with each other. A lot of stuff, a lot of mudslinging is going on. And you know what? You're culpable in that as well, sir. Sorry, those are just the facts. I'm not here to sugarcoat things for you guys. You claim you're doing all you can to get a deal done here, but yet you are making deals to purchase land in Carson. But you were wanting a major discount for free land up here? No, it's not going down. Not at all. especially since we're still paying for the current stadium that you, the NFL, everybody in the world will never reiterate time and time again. But you're not going to get public funds and just get all the concessions for parking, the merchandising, and just, on top of the TV deal, I mean, you're making money hand over fist. What's in it for the city or the county? There's a lot of issues here. If you were to actually do a fair deal, because that's how business is done, both sides get something out the deal, you can positively impact a lot of things here, whether it become parks, schools, roads, things that can actually help this place. And we're making strides right now, but why not maximize that right now? Why not do your part to be a true partner here in the city of Oakland? Because these people really love you. If you actually got a deal here, people would worship the ground you walk on. Even more than anybody who reads article of intelligence knows that the Raiders belong in Oakland. So Mr. Grumman, the audacity to even say that the product can go any place and be successful is just ridiculous. Yeah. Please don't insult us ever again like that. You've seen my comments to you on Twitter. I'm going to let you off the hook tonight because I give you a lot of credit, you and Mr. Davis, for coming up here and showing your faces, because a lot of people would not do that, knowing some of the anger that a lot of people have. So I'm going to give you credit. I'm going to let you off the hook right now. But enough of that. Let's talk about the good stuff. What this East Bay spirit is true brotherhood. Look at this crowd right now. You got black people, white people, Asians, Native Americans right here. You have all different nationalities that come together in that lot. They give you a glimpse of how the world really and truly shaped out. So at the end of the day, I just want to let you guys know that we're here to tell you that these are our towns, the Raiders are our team, and Sunday you're going to see it live and direct. This is our time. Stay in Oakland.
Okay, so there you go. That was that's pretty epic rant. I hadn't seen that in a while. So, boss man, you did it. I think you probably, I think you could have probably stopped it maybe about 2 minutes and 30 seconds earlier, because just after that the crowd started getting a little restless. You hear them kind of like but anyway, there you go. So yeah, that was a rowdy bunch. Eric Truth, to front to back, I loved it. Then admired even more as it transpired. Hey, Faust is getting his accolades. And so let's see here. Alex says his team is San Diego. Why San Diego moved to LA? Well, because that happened, Alex, because Stan Kroenke has the right to build the stadium in Inglewood, but there was an NFL resolution that was passed January 16th of 2015, 16, which gave the Chargers the first option to be in Inglewood, and Dean Spanos was trying to get a stadium deal done in San Diego. The $600+ million bond issue was turned down by the voters. The NFL owners did not want to help him with additional money, him being Dean Spanos, so Spanos, in a fit of pique, left. That's what happened. He pulled an Art Modell, okay? He left. That's what he did. So, Maurice Keith said Davis could have worked on that 99-year lease Oakland offered. Yep. Mark went from being $400 million in the hole to at least $650 million in the hole, and leveraged his ownership with a lease mortgage in Las Vegas. Excellent comment, Mr. Keith. And Crawford says, could Montero be Ricky Bobby? I don't know. Let's see here. Oakland blew a 22-year lead. Yeah, basically. Maurice Keith says if he defaults on Las Vegas loans, Bank of America controls the lease, and the NFL will force Davis to sell. Alex says, is that good or bad? I personally think it's it's good for Dean in that he has a ready-made, or will have a ready-made new facility. And however, I thought Dean's best bet was to achieve is some kind of privately financed downtown stadium in San Diego. That still remains the best undone deal in the NFL. Okay, now we've got, let's see here. Holy Roller says, that's what I admire about Boss Man. He was real back then and he's real now, never changed. Maurice Keith says, 30 years worth of payments. Yep, Big Eightful. Big Eightful, how are you? He says, I got a basketball question, Mr. Zennie. How do you think Lonzo Ball is doing during his summer league? Oh, man. Lonzo Ball. Oh. You know, Lonzo Ball's biggest handicap is turning out to be what his father pumped him up to be. And I think he got in there and got nervous because he was the second pick. And that's a lot of heat on you. So there's a lot of heat on you to deliver, and his performance, absent any game I haven't heard about yet, hasn't measured up to what you would expect from the second pick in the NBA draft. It's just not there. What do you think? John Mark says, Lonzo Ball be fine, go Lakers. 831 Scott says, he hasn't done anything yet, Maurice Keith. The odds of the Raiders staying in Oakland keep getting better every day. Brian Frank says, not to mean any disrespect to Oakland. Brian, I didn't see what you had said. What did you say? That happened while I was, I think that happened while, Boss, okay, I didn't see Boss say he had to be early. I think Boss had heard enough of himself speaking. He goes, okay, I'm off to bed. James, what are you saying? James says, how does the NFL allow Mark Davis to mortgage the whole franchise on a very unstable, risky deal as this particular deal that is on the table? That's a good question. As to why they allowed him to do that is the great unanswered question. It really is. ML Scott says, I'm sorry I stepped away. Did you I sent the email last week? No, I didn't. Could you resend that email? Because, and I'll respond to it tonight. Because because you got me a little concerned about that. I'm going to get off in a few minutes because it's now 2:06 in the morning. But I will definitely do that. Big Eightful says, bad opening game. He had a bounce-back game. Triple-double. Oh, she had a triple-double. Thank you for letting me know that. Triple-double. 11, 11, 11. Wow. Thanks, Emil. And by the way, you have my email, right? Yeah, you do. Okay. Alex says, they came back soon to San Diego. My family is not for LA. Jamal Mills says, I like the video of Boss speaking up strong words. Oh, that's a classic video, you know? That's classic. In fact, if you want to have a look at it again, I played it for you, but I will install the link for you here. I'll get the link for you. Hold on a second.
Welcome.
You know the sound of that, don't you? Okay. Anyway, but here's Bouse Man. Like Bouse Man. That's the Bouse Man video there, okay? And yeah. And so this is, by the way, for anybody that wants to become an investor and on the advisory board, this is PayPal. And PayPal link right here. There, it's a PayPal link. And Crawford says, with a delay in Inglewood, hopefully San Diego officials can reconcile and give Spanos a deal he can't refuse. That's, yes, absolutely. And let's see here. I've got to record some things here while I'm talking because I need to make sure that that's recorded. And they bear with me here. So that L is 10. Okay. Okay. So do I live Oakland to go to the games? Ask. Well, yes, I do. And Maurice Keith says, James, the NFL is getting a free stadium for you to use. Free money, the relocation fees, and can boot Davis with minimal pushback if Davis defaults. Team stays, and buyers already lined up. Yes, that's true. And Jimmy Butler says, what was the first video that I ever made? Wow, the first video I ever made. Whew, man, the first video blog that I ever made on YouTube or just in general. The first one I ever made actually was on Blip TV, and it was a trip to Fantasy Studios, and Blip TV got bought by Maker Studios, and then they didn't inform me. They did something I really hated. They changed the terms of service to favor shows and then said that my form of video was outside the terms of service, and they blocked me, and they gave me a very short amount of time for me to get to my videos, which I didn't do. So I don't have all of my videos. I thought it was a horrible thing on their part to do what Maker Studios did with Blip TV. It stunk to high heaven. But that was the first vlog I ever made. It was classic. It was a vlog while I was driving. I did a great job of it, if I do say so myself. Now, Ruben Ortiz says, James McClin says, Zinster, how do we reverse this relocation deal and give Oakland the final serve match? By the way we reverse the deal is by telling the truth about it. As someone asked me the other night, why are you trying to harm the deal? I said, I'm not trying to harm the deal. The deal is doing a great job of harming itself. And I'll repeat that. I'm not trying to harm the deal. The deal is doing a great job of harming itself. There's enough bad stuff in this deal to point out without my having to, twist anything one way or the other, which is I'm not trying to do that to begin with. But I want to emphasize that, look, it reminds me of a line from Wall Street with Michael Douglas and Charlie Sheen, where I think Charlie Sheen, as Bud Fox had asked Michael Douglas, playing Gordon Gekko, how many jets can you water, how many boats can you water ski behind, how much is enough, and then he says, why do you have to wreck this deal? And Gekko says, because it's wreckable. I took another look at it and I changed my mind. Same thing about this deal in Vegas, it's wreckable. And yeah, I took another look at it, and I was being nice, and I changed my mind. It's wreckable. That is why I'm talking about it. It's a bad deal. And we see that every time. So, there you go, okay? Mark is... Mark Davis, the emoji, he's got these little smileys. It's kind of funny. And so... Smuggler says, how will the disabled make it from UNLV? Great question. Donis, did you hear that? Maybe Donis left. Donis is disabled. The question is, how will the disabled make it from UNLV to the planned Vegas site? I see potential problems there. I'm gonna write that down. I'm gonna put that question out there, okay? How will the disabled, and there may be someone from the Raiders watching right now, who can, how will the disabled get to the Raiders games in Las Vegas, right? That is an excellent question. Excellent question. Excellent question. James says, is Mark Davis trolling your site? I hope so. Hey, while he's trolling, he couldn't invest. You know what? Here's PayPal. Right? Let's see if... Here's a PayPal. PayPal. Right there. If he could put $500 in the PayPal, that would be fantastic. I'd love it. $500 right there, man. That would be great. That would be fantastic. Troll on, man. That would be fantastic. Jimmy Butler says, will you be going to the games when the Raiders move to Las Vegas? And so, James says, hooray. John Mark says, Mark Davis, come on my show and I'll interview. John. And so, Maurice Keith says, or loan, Michael. No loan. I just want a grant. $500 loan? Come on, just a grant. That's what I want. A grant. So, a grant. We have 53 watching, 32 have thumbed up, which means that there are 20 who have not. Please, welcome to Zennie 62 live stream. I'm answering any and all reasonable questions regarding the Las Vegas stadium deal and the Raiders' efforts to relocate there, and also their efforts to stay in Oakland, because remember they have a 2-year lease, could become a 3rd-year lease. I ran across a document from the Board of Regents of the University of Nevada, Las Vegas, which did say that the Raiders, at the time this document was written, which is June 9th of this year, 2017, the Raiders would be in a limbo in 2019. They may want to use Sam Boyd Field, but guess what? It would take more money to prep. So, and let's see here. And oh, you emailed me? Okay, thank you, Jamal. Appreciate it. And oh, you got my 5. Okay, I'm gonna write that down, Jamal. All right, Jamal. 5. Got that down. Mills. Thank you. Okay, got it. Okay. And you emailed me. Got it. Okay. And Jamal, you put the 5 through the chat, right? Because sometimes it doesn't give me that. It doesn't give me a final tally at the end. This YouTube system's a little screwed up. If you did through PayPal, I'd get it like that, and I can see that. Okay. And I was gonna go back through the listing to see who did what. This is not efficient as it could be. All right. Donis, I have a question for you. Let me know by a yes if you heard me say Donis. I have a question for you. Okay. And hey, Holy Roller has a restaurant. Holy Roller just says my local restaurants had to close because they could not afford to make bathrooms ADA compliant. Wow. Oh yes, during chat. Okay, got it. Okay, Jamal, I got you. All right. And all right. And that was right. Okay. And so, got it. Hey, Donis, what do you think about the whole question of disabled being able to gain access to the proposed Las Vegas Raiders stadium? I'm just curious. And Blake says, I got my McDonald's. Okay. Crawford says, you should bring back Boltman on. Yeah, great idea. Great idea, Crawford. You should bring back Boltman. All right, bring back Boltman. Okay. I'll do that, definitely. Okay. Oh, meaning, well, there was another commenter who was concerned that the shuttles were reflective of poor disabled access for the disabled, and I wanted your take on that. So Blake says play WWE 2K17. Okay, I'll do that. Big Eightful says where's the Raiders' biggest strength and weakness going in the Raiders training camp? The Raiders' biggest strength is their new offensive coordinator Todd Downing, because his existence means new tendencies that are not recorded with new personnel like Cordell Patterson and Marshawn Lynch. So the offensive coordinator, even more so than Marshawn Lynch, is the biggest strength. The weakness, that defensive scheme, not players, scheme. I wholly object to two-gapping. It's ineffective. It's not the best method with which to use to stop the run. Just saying. Let alone, defend the pass. Donut says, do they have paratransit in Vegas? I'm sure they do. But the question is, that leads to another question. How taxed will this be? Brian Frank, who's a Vegas dweller, says, Bill Walters, who owns a lease at Bal High, was just convicted of insider trading. Oh, wow. Hey, Brian, when did this happen? Wow, he was convicted? The thinking was that he was going to escape that rap. He didn't. Wow. He faces 20 years, and the county owned the land. Waters is over 70. This could open property Waters' own land lease. Wow. But you remember that property was just too close to the airport to begin with, so it was unworkable. Okay. But that happened in April and May. Wow. From what I read about, he seemed like a nice guy who just kind of just maybe handled things in a way that he shouldn't have. Okay. Israel Mendoza says, mark my words, Raiders will win a Super Bowl before they leave Oakland. Got it. John Mark says, Mark Davis, super weak. I don't know if he's super weak. I'm not a Mark Davis basher. I like Mr. Davis. I do not like, as I've said to many, I don't like the Vegas decision. But I like Mr. Davis a lot. So, hey, Alex, I'll see you. And, okay, Alex, thank you for stopping by. And, got it. Thank you for stopping by. And you know, it's 218 there, 58. Wow, this is great numbers of people for this time of night. Anybody wants to donate, by the way, you can either do so through Super Chat, even if it's $1. I much appreciate it. Whatever you, I keep saying donate, it's an investment because you will get your email. You will get your email. And it's a share of Zennie 62 Media, which if Zennie 62 Media is purchased, and when it's purchased, you will get that return. All right? So that's the whole idea. So, and I'm also starting an advisory board of people. Their different emails and ask questions and, you know, get their input. Your investment would go to put you on that advisory board. All right? Now, in fairness, because of dollar amounts, there are people on the advisory board who will have a bigger voice because of what they contributed. Just letting you know, that's just out of fairness. Just out of fairness, okay? But I believe that this is the best way to appreciate fandom and have fandom be the engine for growth of this network that I need right now, to be just transparently honest, right? So there you go. So Blake says it's in Australia it's 4:20. Hey Blake, I got a question. Do you know who Michelle Janicki is? Do you know her by chance? I'm a big Michelle Janicki fan. She's down under. Have you ever met her? Have you ever seen her? Just asking. No? Blake, you've blown it. Oh man, I thought you were gonna. Maybe you could have lied. Nah, I don't lie. But anyway, James McClendon says it would be nice to have the McDiarmid Dolphins owner on your YouTube stream to have a perspective. I'll work to get that. And Big April says, Mr. Zennie, can you get Larry Reed and Boss to come on your show? Boss I can get. Larry, I'll try to get. Larry's, but okay. Blake says, well, it's my sister's sister. What? Michelle Janicki is your sister's sister? Wait, what? You said you never met her? Michelle Janicki is your stepsister? If she's your sister's sister, then she's your sister. Okay? You gotta explain that. You have some explaining to do. 831 Scott says, I did like Mark Davis, but I don't anymore after the way he lied and treated Oakland. The only way he can get me on his good side, again, is to work with Oakland and keep the Raiders in their true home. Holy Rotor says, speaking of divided, what about all the work that was put in for fans against violence? It seems like NFL doesn't care. I'll check on that. Blake says, I can't, it's private. Oh, man. Michelle Janicki, to me, is one of the most beautiful women in the world. I just have to say that. Donut says, Vegas Stadium has to comply with ADA. Yes. And so, John Marks, don't call him out. So anyway. Okay. So, we are 49 watching. If you're new here, welcome to Zennie 62. Brian Frank says it's only 11:30 back in Vegas. Hey Brian, I gotta ask you, what do you think of this? Is there a crime wave going on in Las Vegas with this standoff, and what's going on there? And also, what do you know about the whole basketball arena that's supposed to open up at the Wet and Wild site? And Maurice Keith says, bottom line, Mark Davis most likely won't outlive this deal, so he's trying to flip the money and spend the rest of his days having fun. And Big Eightful says, Blake, you know... no kick. Blake, do you know Nicole Kidman? And, okay, but anyway. So we're getting to, we're kind of getting to the playful moment of this, which means that, and as we get to the playful moment, guess what? The numbers kick up. We have, welcome to Zennie 62. You just joined us. We have now 54 people watching. I am taking any and all questions and comments that are within reason on the Oakland Raiders' attempt to plan to move to Las Vegas, their current stadium deal, anything you want to talk about with respect to the Raiders in the NFL, taking them right here. You can also, if you want your questions seen, donate through Super Chat. If you, I say donate, there's that word again because everyone keeps saying donate. All right. In my case, your money put in is not a donation; it's an investment. It is treated as such, and you get a spreadsheet which shows you your shares with respect to other shares and names. Okay, and you will your email back. That's your, in fact, your certificate. If and when Zennie 62 Media is purchased, and that purchase is for the whole enchilada of this organization I built, which right now is valued at $201 million, you will receive your cut of that purchase. So, but your investment goes to, well, hey, look, working capital. That's what this goes to. And $1, $10, $100. Haven't seen $1,000 yet. Haven't even seen in fact, I haven't seen a $100 one yet. No, I haven't seen a $100 investment yet. I'm looking. That'd be great. But there's an advisory board too that I'm putting together. You all will have your names, and we'll have a virtual hangout for the advisory board. Okay, so and that's to come. That'll be a different setup for planning, for bringing on guests. Yeah, I've got some big plans for this. Okay, I really believe that we've only scratched the surface of what's possible here. Keep that in mind, John Marks. John Marks, Zennie off topic. Do you get sponsored for Comic-Con? No, I'm still looking. I am still looking. I've got proposals out there. Nothing's come through. So, hey, look, Comic-Con, I have sponsorships needed and open, and you will receive maximum exposure from one of a few who are credentialed media at Comic-Con. Zennie 62 Media for the 8th straight year of Comic-Con. Thank you for mentioning that, John Marks. And so Big Eightful says, I stay local, I pull for the A's. Go A's. Oh, and Brian Frank says, Arena will have to compete. MGM, who has made public they are trying to bring NBA team to T-Mobile. Oh, that's new. Hello, because they said that they weren't. The last time we had this conversation, Brian, you weren't around, and someone was saying, no, T-Mobile is not going to do that. There were a couple of gentlemen on here, very informative, not as guests, but, not as, guests we could see them, right? But commenting, very informative and talking about the T-Mobile Arena, insisting that T-Mobile wasn't going to do the NBA. So 831 Scott says, Blake says, I hope can you do a 3 a.m. challenge, please? You mean like an investment challenge at 3 a.m.? Is that what you mean? So, is that what you mean, Blake? When you say challenge, what do you mean? 831 Scott says, I hope the A's choose Howard Terminal as their new home. That would be the smart choice. That would be the smart choice. So, like a challenge grant is like A's may trade away Sonny Gray. Oh, God, I hope not. Brian Frank says, CEO of MGM, Jim Lewis, has publicly said he would seek an NBA team. Wow. Let's see here. Because Zennie, is anything going on with Oakland still trying to work with the Raiders? Yeah, there's going, right now it's the lease, and there's that issue of the almost $1 million that's owed on parking, and is there an open door possibility to renegotiating? Yeah, there's a wide open door, and that door gets cracked more open with every bad situation that comes out of the Vegas deal. Okay? So that's what you're looking at. And keep in mind this, I said earlier before you appeared, the Raiders have not signed the non-relocation agreement. They would be, if this situation is allowed to continue, the first team in NFL history to not sign a non-relocation agreement that would be tied to a long-term, a 30-year commercial bond issue or a line of credit, okay? So And remember, there are rumors, in my other program, 2 programs ago, there was a rumor that gentleman floated that at Mandalay Bay Bar, there were some people who said that Sheldon Adelson's back in the deal. Keep in mind, considering that the Raiders haven't signed the non-relocation agreement, which really is, although it was called for by the SNTIC last year for the government bond issue, is really something that has gone into every commercial commercial loan that has been structured in pro sports in the 21st century in the United States, okay? And meaning you don't move. You're set for the 30 years, okay? Because it makes it more certain you're going to pay off the loan, right? But it was also, in the case of the SNTIC, attached to the government bond issue as well. In both cases, that one document the Raiders have not signed. And there are some behind-the-scenes delays and friction about that was revealed in comments that Stadium Authority attorney Mark Arnold made about 2 months ago that were in a sense deftly swept on, if you will, by Jeremy Aguilo in a few weeks later in the next Stadium Authority meeting where he said the Raiders are going to sign. This is the non-relocation agreement. The Raiders have to sign it. Period. Okay. So as opposed to Mark Arnold's insinuating that the Raiders were not going to be able to sign it. All right. So yeah, Jamal's right. Oakland needs to be ran by Green Bay. And High Roller says, nothing against Las Vegas, but I lived in California my whole life. Never wanted to go to Vegas. We have all the casinos here in California and all the entertainment. Brian Frank says, you will give up media credentials for the Raiders if and when will I give up them? I don't have them. I gave them up in Oakland. That's a whole long story, and I'm happy to tell the story. Will Kiss was kind enough to provide media credentials for me, and we had a misunderstanding. I sent to Mr. Kiss an email that was my intention at the August preseason game of 2015, pitting the Oakland Raiders versus the visiting Arizona Cardinals. It was my intention to upload more YouTube videos from that contest than any in NFL history. I wanted to break the record. I said that in black and white. Will didn't get the memo. I was in the press box doing it. He discovered, even though, I sent him what I was doing, he saw my email. When I say he didn't get it, I guess he was busy and didn't quite, comprehend what I meant, because he answered back. I said, this is my coverage plan. Here's my objectives. I would like to interview Derek Carr, which I did, and Coach Del Rio, which I did. Those are my objectives, okay? And among others. And so I laid out my objectives, and Will, I don't think, processes it. Otherwise, he would have replied back and said, well, gee, from the press box, you shouldn't do that because of this rule, right? Now, I know the NFL rules very well. And my videos were like maybe just a few seconds, like, 10 seconds, 15 seconds, right? Of game, of like a portion of a play where a play was being ran, because I told Mr. Kiss that I was obsessed, and I was, with how then offensive coordinator Bill Musgrave was going to employ elements of Chip Kelly's offense in the Raiders' offense. And I'm a big fan of these different iterations of the read option, right? And I made it clear in the email that's what I was going to do. So anyway, after about a couple of days after, I get a call from Will. He's yelling at me at the top of the year, you violated it, blah, blah, blah. And we cleared it up. I know the NFL attorneys for some time, in some cases for years. We cleared it up quickly. But I thought, and Will says, well, what are you going to do about this? And I thought, you know what? I just said to him, keep the credential. Because when I'm outside of the press box and I'm around the people, I have more fun. Interviewing people, maybe some of you watching have been in my interviews. I know a couple of people have who've been here in the past. And it's fun to really talk to people and be recognized, to be honest, and say, hey, there's Zennie62, and hey, and I ask that person, hey, what do you think of the game? They tell me, and it's a great way of connecting with people. In the press box, I'm just, sitting there, oh, I feel like I'm out of the action. I just, no. In fact, I think 21st century media should be such that the people are out of the press box and they're roaming around, there's the media types, and they're videoing and they're recording and they're giving everybody a response. But when they're in the press box, they're just diddling on Twitter. Wasting money. You're going to pay somebody to diddle on Twitter in a press box. They can do that at home. See what I'm getting at? So anyway, so there you go. So, Jacob, can you help me get in the press box? Asked Jacob. I'm a huge fan. Season tickets will be there. I can't do that. No, I cannot do that, Jacob. I'm sorry. I do not make promises that I can't keep. I can't do that. No. 831 Scott. Good night, Zennie. Hey, good night. Thank you, man. Thank you, and thank you for the investment, by the way. And Jacob, hey, you asked, right? Nothing wrong with asking. And Blake says, hey, Blake, thank you. Okay. Blake, thank you for stopping by. And Israel, Green Bay's unique situation, never happening again. James McClendon says, Mark Davis must not be feeling so positive, and says that's why a huge reason why he hasn't signed a relocation deal. That makes a lot of sense. Tight end Force says, hey, Zennie, did you go to Skyline High? I did, class of 80. If you did you know Mike Greer? Yes! Mike Greer, Rusty Sims, Charlotte Sims, and God, these are names I haven't heard in a long time. Yeah, Mike Greer and I go back, way back, man. Yeah. Mike Greer and Rusty Sims, quarterback, number 11. Great man to this day. And I think he's doing great things with kids in Alameda, right? But yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Great people. Great people. And Jake Collins says, honestly, the Vegas Stadium keeps revealing more and more flaws, which goes to show how much thought went into the move. It was done too fast. Jamal Miller says, Oakland needs to be ran like Green Bay. I got that one. And let's see here. We've got Brian Frank says, I'm a proud owner of the Green Bay Packers. Brian Frank, are you interesting? You should talk to Steve Sisolak about that. I think he is too. John Mark says, Jacob P. won't miss much in the press box. I've been there. No, you won't. Concierge Salt says, why did Paul Tagliabue block Al Davis from building self-funded in a stadium in LA years ago? Really, he didn't. It was more complicated than that, and it had to do with some issues with the LA Coliseum Commission. That's another story. Holy Roller 510 says, at town hall meeting, the question about Green Bay fans' ownership was brought up. It was for the Raiders, and the NFL executive said they would look into it. Nothing was ever mentioned after that. I'll look into that. Ruben Ortiz says, good night, Zennie. Early morning tomorrow. Everyone prayers for Ruben and Barry Strong. And that's right. It's 2:36, folks, and I'm gonna sign off because this has been great. These numbers you guys have been fantastic. And Jamal says, and good night, everybody's. And Concierge, I'll pick that up tomorrow. But I remind you, tomorrow, 8:30 Pacific, 11:30 Eastern. Godfather Grizz with a special announcement. You gotta be here, okay? You gotta be here. So, good night, James. Good night, everybody. And the NFL wanted Al to take a second team reviews. Thank you, Crawford. Yeah. Right. And that's right. That's right. Yeah, that's okay. Hollywood says, I'm up till, you're up till 6? Oh, boy. That is wild. I think this has been fantastic. Keep hope alive. This has been great, though. All right. Good night, everybody. See you guys. Good night. Good night. Thank you again. And thank you for the contributions. Thank you. Oh, thank you, Jacob. And thank you. I'm glad you guys had a good show. Keep memories alive. And John Marks. Hey, John, you got any sponsorship ideas? Or, hey, heck, at 500, outstanding, outstanding. Let's talk. I'll see you. Good night, everybody. Good night, ML. And I'll look for that email, ML. And Smogana, thank you for tuning in whenever you can. Thank you so much. Donis, thank you. And everybody, you guys are outstanding, outstanding, outstanding. I'll see you. Good night. Good night. Good night. Good night.